What does a 2-month-old baby get stressed out about? When does a 2-month-old baby say, I just don't have any time? It's an important insight that when Jesus refers in his prayer to the littlest ones among us, the significance of what Jesus is saying. In the daily life of a 2-month-old child, well, do they get hungry? Yes, but then they're fed. Do they get wet? Yes, they do. But when they do, they're cleaned and dried. And when they're fed and cleaned and dried, what do? They go to sleep. The contentment, the joy of a 2-month-old child is complete. In fact, it's so profound. The unity with the one that loves that child and whom that child loves is so complete, that child is not even aware that that's another person. It's only in the course of time, usually around 2 or 3 years old, that a child comes to the rather jarring realization, well, wait a minute, that person over there is somebody else and I'm me. And so once they've come to that realization, they undertake a whole series of experiments to understand, well, where do I end and where does the rest of the world begin? And this experiment continues later in life, usually around 13, 14 years old, when that child who realizes that I am a physically distinct person realizes that I'm also a mentally and emotionally and psychologically distinct person. That I can think on my own, I can form opinions on my own, and any parent of a teenager knows that a rather dramatic series of experiments, begins. Again, to understand, well, where do I end and where does the rest of the world begin? And what people aren't aware of is the fact that what is true for us physically, mentally, emotionally, and psychologically is simply not true for us spiritually. The fact of the matter is that in the moment of our baptism, there is a bond that is formed between us and our Father in heaven, as complete, as life-giving, as joyful as the bond between a 2-month-old baby and his or her mother. And in fact, it's only in the course of time that we ever introduce the idea that there is somehow some separation between God and us. And discovering the perception of separation from God brings a great deal of turmoil to any person's life. And this turmoil is manifest in a lot of different ways. It might be fear, it might be anxiety, it might be anger, it might be, and I'm trying to think of a way to express this, lust is just too harsh of a term. Let's say frisky. We experience friskiness, and we think somehow in the midst of these emotions, in the midst of these feelings, that somehow I'm over here and God is somewhere way out there. And in the wake of that misunderstanding, in the wake of that misperception, all kinds of turmoil enters into a person's life. So many questions now seem unanswerable. So many problems seem like they have no solution. So many conflicts in our lives seem like they will never be resolved. And Jesus sees this in us. Now, when we hear Jesus' response to this fact of human life, when he says the words, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest." In the context of Jesus' parables and teaching to an agricultural community, we can easily form the misunderstanding that Jesus is talking to people who've been at work in the fields all day or churning butter all day, and they're exhausted. And Jesus is saying, well, if you're tired from working all day, take a nap. But the reality is that Jesus is talking to us about a lot more than just that. It's not just the physical exertion of work that burdens us. It is that fear. It is that anxiety. It is that anger. It is that irritation, that frustration, that friskiness, we'll call it now. On top of all of the failed attempts in our lives, because you see, at the bottom of our hearts, we are always trying to recapture the wholeness, the completeness of that intimate bond that we feel with another, which is the only thing in our lives that has ever left us invulnerable to fear or anxiety or irritation or anger or any other kind of misdirection of the human person. It is within the intimacy of that union that our lives are finally free of all of these things, which again, from the very beginning of our lives, remains the ultimate quest of every human heart. And so again, Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened." He might have said, "Come to me, all you who are fearful. Come to me, all you who are angry. Come to me, all you who are anxious. Come to me, all you who are disappointed. Come to me, all you who are depressed. Come to me, all of you who are desperate. And I will give you wholeness. I will give you integrity. I will give you dignity. I will give you fulfillment. I will give you purpose and meaning and direction in your life. I will reveal to you who you fully and authentically are, something that you are simply never able to do on your own, no matter how hard you try. I have a particular empathy for the people who come to confession, and at the very beginning of their confession, they say, "Well, this is what I'm working on right now." And I tell them, I say, well, if you continue to make yourself the central actor of your own life, you will fail. And they're, "What?" And I tell them, yes, imagine that you were hoping to lift yourself up off the ground. And you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to lean over, I'm going to grab my ankles, and I'm going to start pulling as hard as I can. Every day I do that, and every day I just get more exhausted, more frustrated, more disappointed, until I reach the point where I have completely lost hope that my life is ever going to be any different than it is right now. And I tell them, make Jesus the central actor in your life. Well, how do I do that? Well, number one, tell Jesus the whole story. Again, don't bring in emotions yet. Just tell Jesus the story of what is happening in your life. Like you were writing a newspaper article. This is what happened. This is who I saw. This is what they said. This is what they did. This is what I said. This is what they did. And then once the narrative is complete, then you can say, and these are all of the emotions that narrative has brought to my life, Lord. I feel overwhelmed by fear. I feel overwhelmed by anxiety. I feel overwhelmed by anger. I feel overwhelmed by friskiness. I feel overwhelmed by many, 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 many different emotions. And then the third step is the key. The third step is to say, Lord, all of this narrative, everything that has happened, and everything that I feel about what has happened, Lord, I lay it at your feet. And I ask you, Lord, to show me how. should I respond to all of this in a way that brings honor and glory to you? Another way of putting it is saying, Lord, thank you. Thank you for all of my blessings. Thank you for all of my tribulations. Thank you for everything that you have brought to my life. Lord, help me. Help me to take on your yoke, which means, Lord, help me to see all of this not as I see it, not according to the poverty of my own judgment, my own understanding, my own desire, but Lord, help me to see this as you see it. And help me to respond in a way that brings honor and glory to you. And I'll be the first one to be honest with you. I get caught all the time doing that. And it's easy to realize that I'm still, to this day, struggling to choose only words and only actions that bring honor and glory to God. And so what do you imagine is the next step when we say, well, I really do want to make Jesus the central actor in my life, but honestly, I'm still struggling to do that. What's the next thing we do? Anybody want to take a guess? Where do we go? Right there. When you are struggling in your union with Christ, when you are struggling with your relationship with Christ, when you are struggling to make Jesus the central actor of your life, go to his mother and say to her, and I always tell people, it doesn't have to be exactly these words. There's nothing in the vocal prayer of the church that expresses this, but I think you'll get the idea, and you can put it in your own words. Say to her, and again, be brutally honest when you say this. Good mother, my heart is too small to do what your son asks me to do. And so, in your great love and in your great mercy, good mother, take my small heart, take my broken heart, take my inadequate heart, and give me your immaculate heart. Believe it or not, she will do it. Good mother, take my small and inadequate heart and give me your immaculate heart. And let me love this day and all days with that.